For today's notes, we'll be looking at plotting inequalities. When we're looking at inequalities, there are 4 symbols we use: greater than, less than, greater than or equal to, and less than or equal to. When we're plotting our inequalities, if the symbol is greater than or less than, we will use an open circle. And if it is equal to or greater than and less than or equal to, we will use a closed circle, as shown. For my first example, it says x is less than or equal to -2. So I'm going to put a closed circle on -2, and I will point my graph to the left because it says the values are getting smaller. Next, we have x is greater than -1. So I put an open circle at -1, and I'm going to point my graph to the right. So for my next example, it says -10 is less than or equal to x. And you'll notice here that the variable does not come first. So I'm going to rewrite this so that the variable is first. So x is greater than or equal to -10. Notice that if your sign here is open to the variable, when you rewrite it, you still want it to be open to the variable. So now I'm going to put a closed circle on -10. And because x's values are greater than or equal to -10, I will point my graph to the right. Okay, same thing for the next one. -4 is greater than x, which would mean that x has to be less than -4. So I'm going to put an open circle on -4. And because x's values are less than -4, that would mean that my graph has to point to the left. You try this one on your own. Which graph represents x is greater than -2? Now for these, we're doing the exact opposite of what we were just doing. So we have the graph now, and we want to write the inequality. So for the first one, I have a closed circle, and it's pointing to the left. So I would say x is less than or equal to -1. For our next one, we have an open circle, and it's pointing to the right. So x, it's pointing to the right, so that's greater than -75. So here we have a closed circle pointing to the left, so that's less than or equal to, so x is less than or equal to 0. Next we have an open circle pointing to the right, which is greater than, so x is greater than 6. For our next one, x is greater than or equal to, because it's a closed circle pointing to the right, 0. And lastly, x is pointing to the left, and it's an open circle, so less than 6. Okay, you try this one on your own. So which graph represents -6 is greater than or equal to x?